Welcome to Lineups and Lures. Join hosts Joe and Chris as they break down the biggest stories in professional and amateur sports and reel in the best fishing stories and tips. Whether it's game day strategy or the perfect catch, we've got you covered. Grab your gear and get ready. This is Lineups and Lures.
Welcome back, everybody, to Lineups and Lures this week. We've got a lot to talk about here on the football front, on the baseball front. But to kick things off, we had one of the members here of Lineups and Lures live in the flesh at Heinz Field there in Pittsburgh. So, Joe, why don't you give us a first approach of Heinz Field and the Seahawks?
You know, it's a fun town to be in Pittsburgh on game day. There's not much to do.
Imagine.
There's not much to do outside of game days, it appears. But game days are fantastic. So, I mean, 1 o'clock kick Eastern time. Fans were starting with where our Airbnb was. We could see the fans starting to walk across the bridges across the river to get to the stadium. They were heading over there about 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, getting ready for all their tailgating.
So what you're saying is they were ready to go by 1.
Oh, they were ready. They were ready. But you know, it's a cool city. There's 3 rivers that kind of go right in through. You know, hence the 3 Rivers Stadium back in the day. But you know, you walk across the bridge. You walk over to the stadium. It's got great views because it is literally right on the water. They do a really good job outside the stadium with tailgating. They had their drum group that were out playing. They had people could run a 40-yard dash, laser timed, which was quite interesting to watch. Some of the people run. It was quite entertaining.
So what you come in at, like a 6.3?
Those days are long behind. Podcasters and baseball coaches no longer need to run 40s. Yeah, that doesn't need to be on the resume.
Okay.
And then we got in the stadium about 45 minutes early, walked around, kind of checked the whole thing out. We had pretty good seats, kind of end zone-ish with the sun to our back, which was fantastic because it was 83 degrees at game time, which is not really football weather, especially when you think of Pittsburgh, but it made for a great Sunday, that's for sure.
Right.
But the coolest part about the stadium is they have, I don't remember exactly what they call it, but essentially it's like a hall of honor. And so it's down on the 100 level concourse, and it's a big, wide open concourse. And they have these like pillars that celebrate their 6 Super Bowls. So they have the Super Bowl trophy there. They have like a team picture, programs, stat sheet, all these kind of things celebrating those. Of course, there was one World or Super Bowl trophy missing out of the 6 because they had it in their museum, and that would, of course, be the Steelers-Seahawks Super Bowl when the Seahawks are in town. So quite convenient. We
don't talk about that one.
No. But then they also had like the history of the terrible towel, and they had a kind of one of their pillars inside that space that was covered with all the different terrible towels. Because I didn't know there's not one terrible towel. There's hundreds of variations of the terrible towel.
Yeah, I think they hand them out before every game, don't they?
Absolutely not. Nope, you got to buy one. Everybody brings their towel to the game. Which, hey, I got to tell you, that's great fan participation because, you know, we went in, I was going to buy one. I bought one. But I was going to buy one if I didn't get one at the game. So we walk in through the gates and I'm like, all right, there's got to be a handout of some sort. It's home opener. Nope, nothing. And then you start seeing everybody and they're all carrying their towels in. Like, wow, that's good planning.
Yeah, they've been doing it for a little while this. So,
yeah. But it was cool. So kind of this little Hall of Fame area. They talked about the coaches, all 3 of them. They had some retired jerseys. It was just a really cool kind of space to get some food, hang out before a game. And I can only imagine that place is probably packed when it's 32 degrees and raining sideways.
Right. Well, let's actually transition onto the actual game itself. What did you think of Aaron Rodgers? What did you think of Seattle's offense and seeing it live?
Well, Aaron got quite the pop when he got introduced. He was the last guy introduced for the offense, so the crowd was really excited to see him, which was cool. You know, it's always good to see a Hall of Famer and see the crowd into it like that. Once the game started, it was a good atmosphere to watch a football game. I wouldn't say it's a super loud atmosphere. Like, we're just spoiled. You know, Seattle,
Yeah.
it's always so loud there. It's one of the best atmospheres, if not the best in the NFL, especially when it's full of Seahawk fans. But you know, the crowd was into it. The towels were waving. They played really good music in between plays and timeouts. A lot of heavy metal. You know, Steel Town heavy metal. But on the field, you know, the Seahawks looked really good outside of about two passes that were just very questionable by our quarterback. I think he was pressing a little bit, trying to push the ball down the field. But you know, we controlled most of the game, and it was a good football game.
Yeah, the reality is that the Lions seem to get it going a little bit with Kenneth Walker averaging 8 yards a carry, 100 yards on only 13 carries. Unfortunately, his running back mate Zach Charbonnet didn't have the same input, but that was something telling that I noticed, kind of, you know, establishing that run play. Donald, you know, had a couple boo-boos, but at the end of the day, threw for 300 yards and went on the road, won a football game, which in the NFL is very hard to do. The other positives that I saw was nice to see Cooper Kupp get involved in the passing game. 7 or 8 catches for him this weekend, which takes a little pressure off of JSN. Also noticed the rookie Horton got a couple targets, and I think our tight ends between the two of them got 4 or 5 targets as well. So I did like the distribution. I think this is something headed in the right direction. I wish we wouldn't have dropped that one to San Francisco to start the year, but I think this is a team headed in the right direction, and as always, we just got to stay healthy. So that's what I saw this weekend.
Yeah, going back to the running back piece, I mean, we don't need both of them to go for 100 yards. We just need one of them each week to go for 100 yards. So, you know, week 1, they shut down Walker. Charbonnet had a decent game. Week 2, Charbonnet can't get anything going. Walker has a great game. So as long as one of them are out there racking up, you know, 100 yards, I think we're going to be in good shape. And hopefully Darnold just doesn't give the ball away. If we don't give the ball away in that game, it's even more lopsided than it felt, because that special teams touchdown definitely turned the tide and changed the momentum. And, you know, Aaron's going to throw his interceptions because, you know, he's just going to fling the ball around. But it was good.
Well, I think a lot of that was obviously having to play from behind. So when, you know, you got to play from behind, unfortunately, you can't just run the football and dink and dunk your way down the field. You got to force it every once in a while. And, you know, sometimes you make the fantastic play and sometimes it goes the other way. So that's where I take, you know, he's a veteran quarterback. He knows what he's doing, and he knows when you got to push and when you got to, you know, and when you don't have to. More importantly, I thought it was fantastic that DK Metcalf was a non-factor in this game other than a cheap touchdown. Three receptions for 20 yards from a guy that wants $35-40 million a year. I'll take that all day long.
Yeah, and they targeted him a lot, and he had 2 or 3 drops in the game as well. So I mean, they were doing everything they could to get him the football. And I got to tell you, there were so many Steelers fans just sitting in the stands, the armchair quarterbacks and head coaches going, "Get DK the ball, throw DK the ball." And they were sitting right behind me. I just turned around and I go, "Guys, we've been saying that for 5 years. Like, just get him the football and let him be the best athlete on the field." And it seems to be harder than it should be.
Yeah, well, that's they're going to have to figure that one out, because there's a lot of offensive coordinators that figure out a way to get their guy the ball. We've been saying that all along. Hopefully, yeah, I'm sure him and Aaron will figure it out. They're 2 good football players. But anyway, I like what we saw there in Pittsburgh. Which game you want to hit next?
Let's just kind of start at the top. We'll go Jaguars Bengals.
Yeah, this is just a dumpster fire here all the way around. You know, Jacksonville showed a little sign of life, which was, I guess, encouraging. Trevor Lawrence had a reasonable day, quite frankly. The real story here is Joe Burrow and what that means for the Cincinnati Bengals with him being out for, it looks like, 8 to 10 games, 3 months, they're saying, with the turf toe and the broke, what is it, the ligament on the big toe that they had to repair and attach back to his foot. So, he's obviously one of the better quarterbacks in the game. Browning coming in, I think we would be dismayed not to discuss whether there has been phone calls made to Atlanta and potentially, where's Jameis at? Jameis in New York, right?
Yeah.
So I'd have to figure that those phone calls have been made, and there might be someone else out there I'm missing too. I know they brought in a couple of veteran quarterbacks that are unsigned free agents right now to come in, and one of them will have to be on the practice squad next week or actually one of them's going to have to dress because they got to go in with 2 healthy arms. So, yeah, there's a lot going on in Cincinnati, and for a team that pushed all their chips in the middle, I think they would be well pressed to go and get one of those guys.
I disagree. I think Jake Browning has a shot at leading this team to an above 500 record, keeps them in the playoff hunt, and if Joe Burrow can come back, I think he's a good placeholder. I mean, he played really well at UW in his years there. He was decent last year. I mean, he was 2-1 as a starter when Burrow was out. So I think he can do this. I think he can keep the team afloat.
Yeah, I'm not sure I agree with you, and I just want to kind of rattle off why I don't agree with you. At Minnesota this week, okay, they've got a quarterback issue as well. They probably get away with that one. At Denver, loss. Detroit, loss. Green Bay, loss. Pittsburgh. I mean, they could go 0-4 right there, and that's the end of that season. That cannot happen. Even if they can get hot at the end, there's just. And then you look at their stretch run. I mean, they go through a 3-week period where it's Baltimore, Buffalo, Baltimore. I mean, they'd be lucky to go 1 out of 3 in there, if healthy. So I think you've got to win these games now because that is just an absolute gauntlet you got to run through there. And welcome to the AFC North.
Yeah, I just think if he can get the ball into his athletes' hands, if he can get Higgins the ball, if he can get Chase the ball, if he can get, a running game going, as long as he doesn't throw interceptions or make really bad decisions, I think they have a chance to stay afloat. I mean, you look at that Minnesota this week, I think that's probably a win for them. Broncos. And
then they lose the next 4 in a row. Maybe
not the Broncos. I think the jury's still out on them a little bit.
They're going to go into Mile High and come out with their tails between their legs. They're going to get absolutely smoked.
We'll see. It is a primetime game. I think it's a Monday nighter, so we'll see about that. Lions, yeah, they're going to get whooped. At the Packers.
They ain't going to.
So, I mean, you're looking at, you could be 2-2 in the next 4 games, and I think that keeps you afloat.
I will bet you as much money you want that they are not 2-2. I'll take that bet. You let me know. Will you let me know what you want to bet on that?
Yeah, we might have to discuss that one further.
Okay.
All right. Giants, Cowboys.
Who cares?
Whoa, come on. Did you see those numbers that Russ put up?
Yeah, but once again, who cares?
Well, who cares is you're talking about trades. If I'm New York, I'm shipping Russell Wilson to the Bengals, and I'm letting Dart start. You want to make a move? Russell Wilson's value may not be any higher than it is right now.
If you do that, you play Jameis Winston. You do not let Dart touch the football field this year. Don't ruin the kid.
I agree.
I think he's going to be a dude. Play Jameis. Do not play Jackson Dart.
I agree. We've gone over this hundreds of times. The problem is I think that the media and the fan base want to see him, and I think that pressure is just going to be too much by the midpoint of the season.
But good football teams make moves. I mean, the Indianapolis Colts had to let Peyton Manning walk out the front door. It was time for Andrew Luck. The Green Bay Packers had to let Brett Favre walk out the door. It was time for Aaron Rodgers. Both of those guys sat for a number of years, and look what happened. They came in and just went bang straight away. That is the way to run a successful franchise. That's the way to run a successful football team. You ain't going to talk me out of this one.
No, I don't disagree with you. But before we move on, I mean, Did you see that kick? 64 yards to tie the game.
So he's going to get a shot at 70 at some point along the year. It's going to have to be, right before halftime with time expiring, or for the game ending, because you can't give up the field position if you happen to miss it. I think he might get a chance at 70 this year.
It's pretty impressive. I mean, not only the distances, but the accuracy. I mean, he's pretty good.
So he is a few attempts short as far as the NFL record holders go for like lifetime average. But if he continues on his current trajectory, so everybody has always said that Justin Tucker was the gold standard for kickers, right?
Yes.
He's better. His completion percentage is better than Justin Tucker's.
The only thing I'm going to say is let's see him do it in the playoffs. If the Cowboys can get into the playoffs, let's see him do it in a high pressure situation before we anoint him.
He's going to have to be on a different team to go make kicks in the playoffs because Dallas isn't sniffing the playoffs for a long time.
Yeah, so, exactly.
All right. So Dallas, New York, yeah, there might be some quarterback controversy there at some point. Dallas needs to trade everybody and rebuild, and I think that's what we saw this weekend. Two bad teams didn't play good defense. You can't let people score 40 points on you. So there you go.
Yep, I agree. Lions got healthy with a big win over the Bears. Goff looked good. St. Brown looked good.
I think there was a little piss and vinegar in that one after, getting showed up the week before. So Detroit, as advertised, I'm going to keep telling you this until Caleb Williams can actually show me that he can beat somebody. I think Chicago's got a real problem. So Detroit, as advertised, doing what they were meant to do. The one thing I will say is it does look like Caleb and Odunze are getting some sort of rapport there. So, maybe not all hope lost in Chicago, but they got to put the wins on the board before we can start putting them in any conversation in that NFC North, because they are not in the same class as Detroit and Green Bay.
Oh, not even close. But it is great to see another UW guy in Odunze representing the Northwest well.
Oh, you cracked me up. All right, Los Angeles, Tennessee. I kind of saw pretty much what we expected, a veteran team and a veteran quarterback going into Tennessee and showing Cam Ward what a football team should look like.
Yeah, I think the Titans are what we thought they were. Not very good.
Yeah, no, that's a classic example of they threw a quarterback in that's not ready, and hopefully he stays healthy and gets through the season. But on the other side of the football, he saw a future Hall of Famer, and he saw how to manage a football game. So, yeah, no surprises there. New England, Miami.
I mean,
what do you got here?
Does anybody care?
I think the only thing worth talking about is how long is Mike Macdonald the head coach of the Miami Dolphins? It appears that there is trouble in paradise. There were reports that, both former Seahawk linebackers, Jordan Brooks and, who's the guy we traded for Ernest Jones? Anyway, Jordan Brooks, obviously mentored by Bobby Wagner, and that plays football the right way. He's a very good football player. However, apparently some of the other guys on the team just weren't putting in effort at practice, and he was sick of it. Reports were that Jalen Ramsey was constantly late for meetings, late for games, didn't show up on time for things, was a pain in the clubhouse, and that contributed to him getting traded last year. Tyreek, big problem. Got problems on and off the field. Cancer in the locker room. That's a team that just needs to get blown up and start again. And I think everything that made Mike Macdonald the savior or the anointed one when he was having fun, doing all the stuff, being loose with the guys, is also going to ultimately be his downfall by not having a locker room and a football team that's disciplined. And I don't see him making the end of the season, even though I don't agree with firing coaches during the season. We did talk about this, but I think he's gone within the next 2-3 weeks.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, after week one, I would have said he's lost the locker room. The team doesn't care. They're not working hard. But week two and then even week three with that Bills game last night, I mean, they were right in that game the whole time. They're putting up some points. And, you look at their schedule, they got Jets, Panthers, Chargers, Browns. You could win 3 out of those 4 and find yourself at 4-4 after 8 games. That's not a bad spot to be in. Do they do that?
Yeah,
I doubt it, but I mean, you could easily be 4-4. Then you got Falcons, Ravens, Bills, Commanders. So 4-7. After that it looks pretty realistic. But
yeah, I think the reality is that Miami used to be one of those teams like we talked about that always found a way to knock off New England, always found a way to be right around the wild card. Right? They were always in that conversation because they just kind of got forgotten about. And that sneakily win 10 games and sneak in the playoffs. I think this is on the general manager. I think you got to ship some people out, get some draft picks. As much as I think Tua is a nice human being and a good guy, his health is still a concern for me. And I would be looking at offensive linemen and his replacement in the draft in the near future and retooling this whole thing. That's what I would do.
Yeah, I would agree. I'd say if they can't get back to 4-4, I think you got to blow the whole thing up and just restart completely. So. Yeah,
take what you can get for Tua. Take what you can, not Tua, excuse me, Tyreek. Any other high price.
All of them. Get rid of them all.
Yeah, I ship them all out. Get it, load up on the draft picks and start again. So, all right. San Francisco went to the Big Easy, and I'm going to say they snuck out of there with a win.
I think that's a good characterization of that. It was a lot closer than it should have been.
Well, they also had some quarterback issues themselves with Purdy not playing, Kittle not playing. It seems to be the story of San Francisco. They just, what do they always say? The best ability is availability. And they just seem to have too many guys on the sidelines week after week, which is unfortunate because there's some really good players that are on that team. But if you can't be on the field healthy, I think that might be the knock on San Francisco this year because when healthy, they're a monster. But they very rarely can they get all the jigsaw pieces together on the field at the same time.
This year, last year, the year before, it's a recurring theme. So there's got to be something going on with that training staff or how they practice or something going on that is lending to these injuries. So hopefully they can figure it out because you never want to see guys go down with injuries.
No.
But if you're going to lose a bunch of guys with injuries, can we start losing some football games? Because 2-0 is, I'm not liking that.
Yeah, they're, once again, I mean, I think if they're healthy, look out. I mean, there are a lot of people that were high on San Francisco to start the year. The other thing is, New Orleans is not a horrible football team. You put a legit quarterback on that football team, and I think you might have something there. So I think that's just a good win for San Francisco. Go on the road, get out of Dodge with a win, and did what they should do.
Yeah, absolutely. Bills, Jets. Bills are rolling. That's a Super Bowl caliber football team, and unfortunately, the Jets lost their quarterback out with a concussion. So the only excitement I have watching the Jets is seeing how Justin Fields does, but he's out. He's going to be out for a week or two. So not much else to talk about in that one.
No, as advertised, Cleveland, Baltimore. What was funny is that Cleveland actually made this football game for half of football. And then they came out after halftime and forgot that they were playing a football game. But, I mean, I guess ultimately, as advertised, what you would expect, Cleveland going into Baltimore and getting a little whooping.
Well, and when you have a running back like Derrick Henry, I mean, the way they scored 3 in the first, 7 in the second, 10 in the third, 21 in the fourth, that's how I envision a Ravens game going. You wear them down, and then boom. 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter.
And I think Coach Harbaugh is just fine with that.
Yep. Comeback player of the year. Maybe MVP at this point. Daniel Jones leading those Colts over the Broncos.
Obviously way too early for statements like that, but I think this is, we've kind of mentioned it before, and I am going to say it again. We are seeing a trend in the NFL where guys that were high draft picks early maybe got thrown to the wolves a little too quickly. Now they've gone and held a clipboard somewhere or, just got a change of scenery and are putting up very solid numbers as a starter in the National Football League, and Daniel Jones is just the next one that seems to be doing it. I mean, yeah, he's been great. So I'm actually pleased to see it. I wish him the best, and Indy might surprise a few people this year. So Denver, if they're going to be really going to get on the road here, they, there's a lot of people that maybe even pick them over the Kansas City Chiefs in that division, myself included. So they need to pick up the ball and start running with it a little better. But I'm not counting out Denver just yet.
Well, they need to learn to stop the run because they let Jonathan Taylor go for 165. So.
Well, they ain't the only football team that's let Jonathan Taylor run for 165 yards. So maybe you get a little pass there, but they're don't count Denver out yet. They lost by a field goal. That's just a good football game.
Yeah, they're going to be fun. Down in Arizona, you had Panthers, Cardinals. Good football game. Panthers tried to make a comeback.
Well, and Bryce Young is showing signs of life. Arizona kind of is what Arizona is. They should play good defense. Their offense is, how Kyler goes, they go. Yeah, I mean, that's not a marquee matchup or anything, but, Carolina showing signs of life and Arizona just kind of hanging around in the NFC West.
Yep. Eagles, Chiefs. Good football game.
Obviously, this was a banger of a football game. I was surprised Kansas City was able to keep it as close as they were, especially since Patty Mahomes had a down day. He didn't even throw for 200 yards. So the fact that Kansas City kept that close is a surprise to me. I thought Philly was going to come in there and run all over them. But once again, you got to tip your cap to Philly, right? They go to Kansas City on the road and come out with a win. That's a huge win for them.
Yeah, Kansas City had their chances. I mean, you had that Kelsey drop pass, a few other drops. Just it's early in the season, so I'm not going to put too much stock in it. But the trend is Mahomes seems to be putting the football where he needs to, and he's just not. He doesn't have those playmakers on the other side, and we've talked about this before. You can't pay everybody, so. He needs to find some guys that can catch the football.
No, they're going to be just fine. They've got Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy. Rashee Rice is back week 7 after his 6-game suspension. Worthy, I think, is back in the next week or two. So the ammunition is on the way. It's just he's got to try to sneak through another week or two. Look, Kelsey's 35 years old. I mean, he's one of the better tight ends to ever play the game of football, but Father Time wins every time, and I'm just not sure he's got that explosive ability that he once had. That's not saying he's still not going to be a very productive football player, but I think you're going to see that offense change a little bit when those two wide receivers get back in. And I'm not counting out Patrick Mahomes just yet.
Nah, you can't write him off yet. He's going to lead that team, and they're going to be in the playoff hunt.
Well, and then they've got, the Zebras on their side, too. So
stop.
I mean, Mahomes might get a sniffle there, and, I'm sure they'll throw a hanky so he can wipe his nose on it. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is taken care of.
Yeah, okay. Did you watch any of the Sunday night game? Falcons?
I did.
That was a mess.
Yeah, I don't think Chris Collinsworth and Mike Tirico was super happy with that when they were sitting there going, we could have had Philly and Kansas City tonight. So I think that's one. What is it, the first 4 weeks they don't flex?
Yeah. So you're stuck with it.
But, on paper, you sit there and go, Atlanta's meant to be all everything. Minnesota coming off of, a 14-win season? Like, on paper, it was meant to be a good game. Just kind of a snoozer on Sunday night. J.J. McCarthy going down, that kind of putting the nail in the coffin for Minnesota. Atlanta's a good story, a good football team. As Penix goes, they go. So we'll see what happens there.
Yep. Moving on to Monday night, Tampa Bay came away with a win against now an 0-2 Texans team. Are the Texans just overhyped? Is they just not as good as everyone thought they were?
Well, I never thought they were that good, but also they've run into a couple of rough football teams. Tampa Bay is really stinking good. Anybody that's snoozing on Tampa Bay is snoozing on the National Football League. You got to remember they did that without their left tackle, their right guard, and their right tackle. They lost their best defensive lineman. Arguably, their best receiver is not on the football field right now. They're going to have to go find some dudes out there because they need some linemen. But if they can keep Baker upright and run the football with Bucky, that is a very, very good football team. And the fact that it was 20-19 isn't really accurate because Houston kind of got a late touchdown there at the end when time was running out.
Yeah, we're gonna find out just how good that team is because they got a tough schedule coming up. Jets they got this week. Then they go Eagles at Seattle, 49ers at Lions, Saints, Patriots, Bills, Rams. That's a gauntlet for that team.
Yes, it is. And if they want to be as good as everybody thinks they are, they're going to have to win a lot of those football games. So we'll see. I think the key there, I think the key right now is health. I think luckily for Tampa, Tristan Wirfs should be back, who is the all-world left tackle there, protecting Baker's blind side. That's obviously a huge, huge addition back to that team. So, no, I'm all in on Tampa Bay. You know I am. Houston put up a good fight. You know, it's the NFL. It's hard. It's hard to win games in this league.
It is. Take them all you can get them.
You got it.
And that's what the Chargers did. They went into Vegas and got a win.
You know, I used to sit down every Sunday and just wait for Gino to throw a pie. I didn't have
you knew it was happening.
I didn't have to wait very long for him to throw a pie on Monday night. I was sitting there watching the game with a good friend of mine who's a lifelong Vegas fan. And I looked at him and I said, buddy, it's not a matter of if. It's a matter of when he throws a pie over the middle. And first drive of the game, there it was. So Geno Smith doing Geno things. The Chargers, I believe, are headed to a deep playoff run, and they went on the road and won a football game like they should, and that's what good teams do.
Yeah, they took care of business, and Justin Herbert's looking really good. So it'll be exciting to keep watching that Chargers team go, and I'm excited for their upcoming schedule. You know, they got Broncos, Commanders, Colts, and you got that matchup with the Chiefs towards the end of this and the Eagles towards the end of the season. So I'm hoping they can keep kind of building that momentum and continuity there and then see what happens, those last couple of weeks of the year. That should be pretty dynamic.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only thing that's good, just like everything, just stay healthy. If they can stay healthy, I think there's a real chance for a deep playoff run this year. I think they're ready. I think Harbaugh's got the team where he wants them, the personnel where he wants them. Justin Herbert's got 6-7 years in the league. It's time. If he's going to go do something, it's time.
Yeah, but overall, good week too. Good week of football. Some good close games. Not too many big blowouts. So, kind of keeps the season on a good roll right now. Looking to sharpen your skills this fall, Portland Baseball Club's Saturday camps are here. Every Saturday in September, players ages 10 to 15 can train all the essentials, hitting, pitching, and fielding, for just $60 per camp. Camp runs from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Spots are limited, so step up to the plate and register today at portlandbaseballclub.com. Mariners are heading to Houston, starting a huge season-defining series tonight. Are you as excited for this 3-game set as I am?
I really am. This is, I was fortunate enough last weekend to take the family up to Seattle and be part of that 10-game win streak. These 3 games, I believe, decide the NL. Yeah, we'll go back to baseball now, so I got to go with the American League West. This is, these are 2-for-1 games, right? Because it's a win in one column and a loss in the other column. So they're 2-for-1s. The other thing is, if there is any way that we can somehow catch Detroit and sneak into that second position and not have to deal with, and then we get a little bye, we can get the pitching rotation set. He can also give the bullpen a couple days off. And just for fun, we don't have to play our kryptonite, which are the Houston Astros.
Yeah, I think this, if we don't get 2 out of 3, we're in trouble because we're 5-5 against them. We have identical records. We need to hold a tiebreaker, which I believe head-to-head is the first one.
Head-to-head's the first one, and they are currently tied this year on the tiebreaker, so whoever wins the series gets the tiebreaker as well.
Yeah, so we got to go in and take 2 out of 3, which means we got to win the first one. You win the first one, it just takes so much pressure off in that 3-game series, and you got to think of it as a 3-game series. You got to win 2 out of 3.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure that's the well, you win the first one, then you try to win the second one, and if you do that, you try to win the third one. But I think we have a nice favorable matchup tonight. I would say, our most consistent pitcher of the year, Brian, goes up tonight. So that's encouraging for the Mariners there.
Yeah, but he is going up against Hunter Brown, who should be in the AL Cy Young discussion. Like, that guy's had a great season.
Right.
And he's pretty good. The nice part is he's a right-handed pitcher, so we do get Cal from the left side, which is his better power side. So hopefully that plays in our advantage a little bit. But if we can get a good quality start out of Wu tonight, put up some runs early, I think we got a good chance of getting game 1. And then you start looking at game 2. You got Kirby versus Valdez.
Well, hold on a second. Are they going to go with Rayleigh or Canzone out in right field then tonight?
After Canzone's 5 for 5 with 3 home runs, I feel like you kind of need to ride the hot bat, don't you?
I'm playing the kid, and who doesn't like the that's Amore when he gets a hit? I mean, it's kind of fun. So, I like Canzone, and I think he's legitimately. I think earlier in the year we would have been talking about the Mariners needing a third outfielder. But when the guy's hitting 300 with some pop in the bat, do we really need a third outfielder?
Not really, and that's what when we traded for him, that was what we expected was going to happen. Was his power was going to, continue to develop. He's a pretty good outfielder. He just needed to cut down his strikeout numbers, which he seems to have done a little bit, but. So he's kind of starting to round into what we need is that third outfielder, which, you also got to keep in mind that we're going to have a third outfielder coming back next year. So he's a good placeholder and a good playoff run guy. I think his speed plays into it a little bit more. That's why I'd definitely be giving him the nod over Rayleigh for tonight.
You're saying Robles is our third outfielder?
Yeah.
Okay, we can discuss that more. That sounds like a good off-season conversation, but I don't think the kid's going to play second base. I would imagine Polanco plays second base, and then tonight with the do they have the projected lineup out yet? I don't. Lineups haven't been released yet, so we'll see. But this is huge tonight. This series, I think, changes the course of the season, and quite frankly, it could really even change the course of this franchise. There is, we've always had the excuse with the front office. We don't have that excuse this year. They went and got the 2 best available bats at the deadline, and they went and got them. So, we're meant to have this, Atlanta mid-90s pitching stuff. I'd like to see these. I would hope that they can start going a little deeper in games, getting through 6, maybe even 7 innings. We'll see if Coach wants to manage the game that way, but I think it's time for our starting pitching to show up. These bats need to stay hot, and we need to go into Houston and just maybe we could go bang on some trash cans.
Hey there, I'm Chad with Jackson Painting and Remodel, and if you're looking to give your home a fresh new look, you've come to the right place. Whether you need a bold new color for your living room or a fresh coat to brighten up your home's exterior, my team and I have got you covered. We specialize in both indoor and outdoor painting, using only the best materials to make sure your space looks amazing and stands the test of time. If you're ready to transform your home, visit jacksonpainting.com. I'd love to come by, chat about your ideas, and give you a free estimate. At Jackson Painting and Remodel, we don't just paint, we make your vision a reality. Again, visit jacksonpainting.com or call 503-620-2600.
Let's look ahead to week 3 of the NFL season. We had a pretty good game last night, Thursday night football between the Bills and the Dolphins. I was expecting that to be over by halftime, and Dolphins had a spirited effort, kept that tied at half, and really kept themselves in the game until that late interception, which was a a really good play by their linebacker.
Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't get to see most of this game. I was at Sunset High School watching the Apollos of Sunset taking on the Lions of Westland freshman football. So it was a real barn burner out there, but looks like I missed a good game.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, the Dolphins played really well. They took the opening kick for 50 yards, set up good field position, ran right down the field, got a touchdown. Bills came right back, scored a touchdown of their own. So it was kind of that back and forth. It was a good game. Like we talked about it earlier. You saw signs of life from the Dolphins team. You
Right.
saw them compete. No, there wasn't a lot of quit that kind of everybody's been talking about after week 1 and a little bit of week 2. So it was good to see them play well. But I mean, Josh Allen and the Bills. That's a really good football team. So they took care of business at home. 3-0 on the year. So good for them.
Yeah, no, we'll be seeing them in January, I'm sure. So,
Yes.
moving on to Sunday, Green Bay goes into Cleveland. You think there's any chance of a surprise here?
I do not. I think Green Bay is going to take care of business.
I think
handily.
Green Bay. So here's the funny thing. There was actually some chatter today about Green Bay potentially trading wide receivers because they essentially have 6 starting wide receivers on the roster, and one of them actually had to go and play cornerback to make the roster.
Yeah, I think you hold on to that depth, and if you get an injury somewhere along the line, now you have those trade chips.
Yeah,
I think it's too early for that, but I understand. You don't need 6.
No, you need 4, but like you said, they have had some injury issues up there, but not that I'm wishing injuries on anybody. I'm just saying what's happened in the past. But I agree with you. I think Cleveland might be able to keep this reasonable for a while, but Green Bay's just got too many weapons to not at some point just run away with this thing.
Yeah. So real quick on the Browns, at what point do you bench Flacco and give the ball to Dylan Gabriel? At what point do you see what the rookie can do?
So I will say this again: you do not.
Yeah, but Flacco's trade bait. Like he's another guy that should
Flacco's
be fielding phone
trade
calls.
bait. I mean, if anything, if who else? Cleveland. I mean, I know they got Shadua, but they had another veteran they brought in, didn't they?
No, they dumped him. They kept Gabriel's been number 2 on the depth chart, and Sanders been number 3. So you would think Gabriel be get the first crack.
Well, so here's the only thing that I might do. I don't believe Shadua Sanders is a long-term answer at quarterback in the National Football League. I just don't. I don't think he's good enough. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm not. If anything, I believe that Dylan Gabriel could well be. I mean, he's kind of a Bo Nix light, is he not? I mean, that's kind of what he was at Oregon. If anything, I think there's a guy that could potentially succeed in the league long term. If I was going to do anything, I'd throw Shadua out there and see what you get. If nothing else, it sells some newspapers for a couple weeks.
Yeah, I think Gabriel should get the first crack at it. Give him a couple weeks, and then if he's not playing well, then I think you give Sanders the start. And like you said, you're going to get your clicks. But I think they've been pretty steady in saying that Gabriel's their number 2. So give him a chance. Let's see what he can do.
No.
Yes.
Rookies don't play. Rookies sit their first year. Have we not talked about this?
Correct, but there's no harm in getting him out there for a game or a couple series
Yes, there
or
is.
half.
Yes, there is. I
Gotta get the
totally
feet
disagree
wet.
with you on this. I totally disagree with you on this. Totally disagree with you.
Yeah,
All
we're
right,
always
let's
going to
move on.
argue this. All right, Colts Titans. Is this one over by halftime?
I'm not going to anoint Indy just yet. I know they've surprised a few teams and looked good, but at the end of the day, they still got to go on the road. Tennessee is doing exactly what they shouldn't be and playing their number 1 draft pick at wide receiver when he should be sitting on the bench behind somebody. And they're going to continue to lose football games because he's going to make rookie mistakes. So I do have Indy going into Tennessee winning this one.
Yeah. Well, when you know you're not going to win the Super Bowl, when you know you're not going to contend for the playoffs, some of these teams are willing to let their rookie quarterbacks go die out there. And I think that's just going to keep happening. And hopefully he learns from it and doesn't go backwards or, start hearing footsteps. Because it's going to be a long season in Nashville.
Yeah, it is going to be a long season, and unfortunately, I don't see a lot of W's on their scorecard at the end of the year. So,
No.
What 6 months ago probably looked like a marquee matchup is now almost a toilet bowl with Cincinnati going into Minnesota.
10 days ago, that looked like a marquee matchup. Now you got
Right?
two backup quarterbacks playing.
Yeah, that's kind of a shame. I was kind of looking forward to that football game. Man, I don't know here. Minnesota still doesn't have a running back either, remember? So that's a problem. They got their starting running backs out and their quarterbacks out. My goodness, you got to go Cincy then, don't you?
Oh, absolutely.
Even though it's on the road?
Yeah, I'm taking Cincy all day long. Browning, I'm a fan. I think he's got a little bit more experience. Who's the backup there? Is that Carson Wentz?
I believe it is Wentz at Minnesota, which is kind of an interesting story all on its own because here we are talking about guys getting a second life in the NFL. There was a guy that, was meant to go win the Super Bowl. Well, I guess technically he was on the team, but kind of lost his job after that. And he's been looking for a starting gig for a while now. And, maybe this is his second chance opportunity. So I think that's an interesting storyline there. There's a guy that's played on the big stage, so the lights aren't going to be too bright for him. And if anything, I got to think he's got a little fire in the belly trying to win himself a starting job next year.
Yeah, Carson Wentz has been with how many teams now? This isn't his second life. This is like his sixth life. He's been all over the league.
But that's like saying Tyrod Taylor's the same deal. Those guys bounce. I mean, how about our favorite Thursday night football analyst? I think he played on 14 teams in the NFL. That's kind of the career. When you're a career journeyman, that's just kind of the way it goes. So, let's see. I mean, maybe this game's a little better than advertised because the quarterback situation isn't horrible. You've got two veteran backups, and maybe it turns out to be a good football game. Though I still kind of like Cincinnati, but I will not be betting on that game.
No, I will not be either, but I'll take Cincinnati there.
Okay. Pittsburgh's going into New England.
Yeah, I think Pittsburgh takes care of business. I think Aaron Rodgers gets the offense going. That's a pretty good defense. Hopefully they don't have a special teams issue like they did against Seattle, and I think the Steelers go take care of the Patriots.
Yeah, I actually don't disagree with you on that one. I think Pittsburgh could make a little noise and could be a sneaky wild card team by the end of the year. So I'm with you on that one. I kind of agree with everything you just said on that one.
Yeah. Best early game of the day is Rams-Eagles.
This is one of the best games of the season. Don't kid yourself.
No, this is going to be a good one.
Well, what do you think? Is it the old dog or the underdog that's going to walk away with this one?
I think it's the Eagles defense that's going to walk away with this one.
Well, the real question is, can Matt Stafford beat that Eagles defense? And I think that whoever wins that one wins the football game because I think Philly's going to move the football. Puka Nacua has been on an absolute tear for the Rams. Man, this is just a good football game.
Yeah, it's going to be good. I mean, if the Eagles, if Barkley and the tush push can kind of win the time of possession battle and not let the Rams get the football very often, I think you're going to see like maybe a 21-7 type of a game where the Rams are just going to have to take advantage of every offensive opportunity they get because I just feel like the Eagles can just run that clock out, and that's a really good defense.
I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I think the Rams go and steal one this weekend for no particular reason whatsoever. I think the Rams might just go steal one this weekend.
Yeah, I think Philly takes care of business at home, but I think it's going to. I hope it's going to be a last-second field goal to win that one. That's a fun game. I'm looking forward to it.
Yep, no, that's one to pay attention to. So, not the next one. Next one should be a pretty easy bye week for Tampa Bay, I would imagine.
Yeah, I think if everyone just stays healthy, they can take care of the Jets pretty easy.
Yeah, I think that might be a nice little get healthy, get right game, and look to next week. So
yep.
I don't think we need to spend a lot of time there. Vegas going to the nation's capital. What do you like here?
So who's playing quarterback for Washington?
Well, is Daniels confirmed out?
I do believe I saw that, yeah.
So,
Marcus Mariota.
All right. So once again, a career journeyman that, Mariota, you could argue, could start on a couple of football teams in this league. So,
Was Mariota with the Commanders last year?
yeah, I'd have to go do some homework on that. I don't remember that one, but
He was. He was. So I think with him being in his second year with the team, I think that'll help that Commanders offense be a little bit more in sync. So
yeah,
I think Commanders keep rolling and take care of the Raiders. But it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be a close football game, though.
The Raiders are just not a good football team, and I'm not putting anything on Pete Carroll and honestly, as much as I'd like to make fun of Geno, that defense is pretty thin, and they're a team that is trying to rebuild a culture after being an absolute dumpster fire for well over a decade. So I think Vegas is doing everything right. It's just going to take time. You can't just flip a franchise in a season, but I don't think there's any chance that they go into Washington and beat the Commanders. So the only thing that would change that if Mariota just lays an absolute egg and turns the ball over. That's the only way I see Vegas being close in that game. But I don't think Mariota needs to do anything out of the ordinary. Manage a football game, go and win it. Go and win by a touchdown and call it a day.
Exactly. Falcons Panthers. Panthers pick up a win at home, or Falcons keep rolling.
I mean, I'm not a fan really of either of these two teams, and I probably won't watch it other than a little red zone maybe, but it's quietly a good football game. Atlanta, Carolina, obviously it's not a huge travel issue, so while it's an away game, it's not really that big of a deal. I think Atlanta's the better football team. Home field's maybe worth a field goal, but I think Atlanta's a touchdown better than Carolina, so I'm going to go with Atlanta.
Yeah, I'll take Atlanta in this one, but I think Carolina is going to find themselves keeping games a lot closer than we expected, barring injuries. I think that's a good up and coming football team that's really young, and if they can keep doing their thing, I think they're going to be in football games, and I think the veteran teams will probably pull away in the fourth quarters. So I got the Falcons in this one, but I think it's going to be a close football game.
Yeah, and at some point, Carolina is going to have to change from the, hey, we kept it competitive to, at some point, to take the step to, hey, we won one. We won a couple of these. You know what I mean? But I don't think they're there yet.
No, I think that's a second half of the season or heading into next year conversation.
Okay. Division matchup, Houston-Jacksonville in Jacksonville. What do you like here?
Oh, I'd really like to see the Texans get a win on the board. But I think they're going to have a hard time going down to Jacksonville. Trevor Lawrence has been playing a lot better, still giving the ball away, but he's always done that. So I think the Jaguars take care of business at home, and I think we're going to see an 0-3 Texans team.
I was just about ready to say the exact same thing. And at that point, your season's done. I don't know if any teams made the playoffs after starting 0-3. So, yeah, this is I think Jacksonville's – I like Jacksonville in this game, and I think Houston could have some serious problems here. And, I agree with you. I think Jacksonville's going to hold court, and Houston could be looking to next season already.
Yeah, and that's a tough division because you got Indy's up there stacking up wins early. That was supposed to be the Texans' division to lose, and well, they're doing their job. They're losing.
Yeah, no, 0-3 is a problem. So that said, C.J. Stroud's still playing football, and that's probably one of those games that I will watch, but certainly won't be putting any cheddar on that one.
Yep, absolutely. Chargers at home against the Broncos. I think Chargers keep it rolling.
I do. I really like what they got going on right now. Look, division matchups are always tight, right? I mean, I don't care which team it is, what year it is. I mean, there are a couple of seasons when the Seahawks were absolutely flying, and Arizona comes up to the Northwest and beats us, and we're all sitting there looking at ourselves going, how the hell did that happen?
Yeah.
It's a division game, and, the line set at 2.5. Chargers are getting 2.5 at home. That sounds about right to me. Denver has underperformed so far this season, but if they can't get up for this football game, that's a problem. So I think this is one to grab the popcorn or whatever, sit on the couch and buckle in, because that's going to be a good football game.
I think the Chargers are going to get up 2 touchdowns early, and I think this one could get ugly because I don't see Bo Nix being a quarterback that can bring a team back from a 2 touchdown deficit without some turnovers, and I just don't think they have the offensive firepower to come back like that at this stage.
Okay,
So
well,
I'm taking Chargers.
yeah, no, I like the Chargers too. I think it stays close though. I really do. Just being a division game. So
heading to Chicago, we got Cowboys Bears. Bears pick up their first win, or are they going to 0-3 as well?
Who cares?
Right?
Seriously, who cares?
Well, it's
Dallas
America's team. We gotta talk about them.
Dallas is a dumpster fire. The fact that they already traded Micah shows you that Jerry's looking for a rebuild. I think at some point Chicago starts beating teams outside of the division because, we're starting to see Caleb and Odunze get a deal. They can run the football pretty well. There's a good backbone in that of a football team there. The Dallas Cowboys, man. I think Chicago gets a win this week.
I agree. I think Chicago takes this one. So, divisional game. This is a big one. Cardinals, 49ers.
Purdy or no Purdy?
Purdy, I believe, practiced this week, so he's looking positive to play on Sunday, but I'm going to assume it's a game-time decision.
Okay, because that probably, he's listed at questionable. That obviously dictates probably my decision on this. If Purdy plays, although Mac Jones didn't look horrible last weekend.
Yeah, he played well. And McCaffrey's, on the field. So anytime he's on the field, you never know what you're going to get out of him. I mean, he could go run for 175 yards.
Yeah, no, I think this game's close. Once again, divisional matchup. I'm going to take San Francisco at home because, when you look, anytime you see a line that says the home team -2.5, that basically means on a neutral field it's a coin flip, and I think that's accurate. So let's take San Francisco at home, and if this game was in Arizona, I might well go the other way.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a really close game, and as much as I want to see the Cardinals pull one out, I think the 49ers just have a little bit more experience, and I think they take care of business at home.
All right, I'll tell you this. If it's Purdy, I'll take San Francisco. If it's Mac Jones, I'll go Arizona going on the road and stealing one.
Yeah, I don't think it matters. I think it's 49ers either way.
Okay. Well, we got another snoozer on Sunday night this week. What's going on here? NBC, let's go.
Oh, come on. You got Russell Wilson versus Patrick Mahomes in New York.
10 years ago, that was an awesome game. But
let's turn back. Maybe we turn back the clock. I mean, Russ put up a historical game. I mean, that was one of his best statistic games outside of one really dumb pass at the end of the game. I mean, that was vintage Russell Wilson.
No, vintage Russell Wilson was when we would run the ball 175 yards a game. We would have good field position, and his stat line would be 21 for 25, 220 yards and 2 touchdowns and no picks because he didn't have to throw it for 450 yards because we played defense and had good field position.
Agree, but he's got to make his name and get his slogans out there, and he's got to go put up his numbers to back up all his endorsement deals.
You mean the 0 votes he's ever got for league MVP?
Yes. Well, he's always a good first half MVP. It's always the second half when he, starts falling out of the race.
All right, so all jokes aside here, I don't think Kansas City is what they used to be. They're saying Kansas City's getting a touchdown. I will be betting on the New York Giants this week.
Oh, I'm taking the Chiefs all day long. I think this is a get healthy game, and I think they're going to pound the Giants.
Don't sleep on New York's defense. I know they gave up points last week, but that front four is ridiculous. And if this was 3-4 weeks from now and Kansas City had their receivers back healthy, There's not even a question. I'm just not sure Mahomes can move the football. And if that front four can get to him and get him rattled, Patty Mahomes doesn't like when he's lying on the deck looking upwards. So I think this is a classic trap game right here. I really believe it. I really think New York might just win this one, even though I just gave Russell Wilson a bunch of crap. I really think they're going to steal this one. And I certainly think they'll cover the 6.5 points.
Yeah, we'll see. I think we're going to have a very motivated Mahomes, Kelsey, Andy Reid, because, as you said earlier, 0-3 teams don't usually make the playoffs. So
Nope.
If they consider themselves a playoff team, let alone a Super Bowl contender, this is a must-win game. And
Yeah.
I think you're going to see the best versions of the Chiefs this year, and I think this will be a blowout. I think they're going to take it to them.
Isn't it crazy to think in week 3 you're already talking about must-win games?
Yeah, it's wild, but, that's why you got to go stack those early wins. 0-2 that's a tough spot to be in.
All right. This may be a preview of the Super Bowl.
Absolutely.
This is an absolute banger on Monday night. I'm going to have to make sure that I don't have a very important meeting on Tuesday morning because I'm going to want to watch this football game. This is why the NFL is the greatest franchise in the world. It's games like this that I don't care who you're a fan of, what part of the country you live in. You're coming home from work Monday afternoon, turning this game on, or meeting your buddies at a sports bar or something. This is a game that everybody in America will watch.
That is correct. So first question, can the Lions keep the Ravens under 40?
Maybe.
Isn't that a wild thought? Like, that's 5 touchdowns. Can they keep them under 5 touchdowns?
The only scary thing is they've got the firepower to go score 5 or 6 touchdowns themselves, which is why this is a great football game.
Yeah, exactly. This could be... This is that classic game where everybody's going to, what's the total? 53 points in the game right now? Everybody's going to, over. This is going to be a 40-37 game.
And then it works out to be 17-14 in the defensive slugfest.
Yeah, this is a 10-8 game. All right, so you set it up. Who's winning? Who's walking away?
I think Baltimore might be the class of the NFL right now. And at home, I'm going to take them.
Yes, I think you exactly. They're the best team in the NFL. They are on fire. Yep. The only thing I can see is I think the Lions, with all their injuries last year, feel like, man, if we just had our whole team last year, would have ended well. Well, maybe there's a little extra motivation to go and say, hey, look, don't forget about us. We're still here. But I think in Baltimore, I got to take the Ravens.
This is not a football game. I would put $1 on either way. It's just, I think it's going to be a banger. I hope there isn't a whole bunch of turnovers or something and it becomes a 3-touchdown game one way or the other. I don't see that happening. You got 2 veteran quarterbacks, 2 guys that have been to the big games. Yeah, I'm going to probably put some meat on the grill and sit down and watch myself a football game Monday night after work.
Yeah, that's going to be a great way to end week 3 of the NFL season.
Yep.
All right, let's get into the Seahawks. This should be a fairly easy conversation, I would imagine.
Well, after we just got all fired up about Detroit and Baltimore, this is kind of a snoozer.
It is a little bit of a letdown, but, we got to go take care of business at home. I mean, anybody can beat anybody, so we can't overlook the Saints, but we got to go take care of business and put some points up, and let's get this thing over with early.
So here's what we need to remember. Last year we went 10-7 and missed the playoffs by 1 game, right?
Yes.
Do you remember what our home record was last season?
We had a losing record.
It wasn't just a losing record. It was 2-7.
Yeah, it was bad.
I remember the good old days when nobody came into that stadium and won. Nobody. It was 7-1, 8-0 every year. You did not come to Seattle and beat us. We need to find that again. And I think it's time for whatever it is with this football team to get that mentality when no one comes into our house and pushes us around. So this would be a great opportunity to do that, to kind of, set the stage, just get that mentality back. And that's what I'm looking for this week. I hope it's not a close game. I hope Seattle comes out, punches them in the mouth. It's 21-3 at halftime, and New Orleans starts getting, let's just get on the plane and get out of here.
Yeah, I think if you can rattle this team early, get that crowd noise going. I'm a little bit afraid of a lot of people looking to dump their tickets, just knowing this isn't a marquee game, and we'll just sell our tickets. We'll watch it from home. I'd love to see that stadium get back to the way it used to be, where it's predominantly Seahawk fans. It's loud. It's a place that visiting teams dread playing. This is a great game to start bringing that identity back to the Seahawks home games. So,
yeah, and I think people need to remember and start thinking about that. Whatever it is in that north end zone, there's some serious juju in that part of the field, and we've seen it over the years. And you're right, there just needs to be. I mean, how many times if you stay the night in one of the hotels in downtown and you're walking down the hill on the way to the stadium, and there are people everywhere high-fiving, wearing the gear, having a pop at one of the local establishments, getting some food. It's just, that walk down to the stadium is fantastic, and it was just, you get goosebumps as you're walking down the hill. So we need to get that back, because I think that, those former teams used to feed off of that. And when they raise the 12th man flag and it's go time, I just hope that whole building's shaking again.
Yeah, I think you get that building shaking. You get our secondary against, Rattler, who's, just an inexperienced quarterback, I think.
Is Witherspoon a go, or is he not a go this week?
I have not seen an injury report. Looks like he's doubtful still, but they said estimated return of this week. So they have Witherspoon, Love, Eamon.
So he's been updated to both of them. All of them have been updated to questionable, which is good.
Yeah, if we can get 2 out of the 3, that's a good sign.
Yeah, no, I mean, and Horton, Charbonnet, questionable, but I don't think that's an issue. I think we might see all of them play, which is fantastic. Usually by this point they'd be doubtful on a Friday. So, and they have to be pretty careful with that. They're not allowed to manipulate because with all the apparently people bet on football games. I've heard that's a thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of money in it.
Yeah, so the league is very, very tight on making sure those guys are accurate with their injury reports. So I think we can all agree we kind of hope Seattle comes out and punches them in the mouth, but I think this is a 2-score football game.
Yeah, I'd like to see that happen early and then just kind of sit back and put it in cruise control for the rest of the game. And let's get to 2-1 and start looking forward.
Yep.
Enjoyed Lineups and Lures? Like, share, and rate the show to help us grow. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Thanks for listening, and catch you next time on Lineups and Lures.